You and me, we used to be together, every day together, always. I really feel that I'm losing my best friend. I can't believe this could be the end. It looks as though you're letting go, and if it's real then I don't want to know. Don't speak, I know what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't speak, I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Our memories, they can be inviting. Some are altogether mighty, frightening. And as we die, both you and I, but my head in my hands, I sit and cry. Don't speak, I know what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't speak, I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't tell me 'cause it Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't speak, I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. I know what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't speak, don't speak, don't speak, no. I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. I know you're good, I know you're good, I know you're real good. Hush, hush, darling. Hush, hush, darling. Hush, don't tell me 'cause it hurts.
Come on, tough guy.
Sons of Scotland, I am William Wallace, and I see a whole army of my countrymen, but they'll never take our freedom!
It's Flat Earth Friday and we are live. And Ronnie's got to turn his camera back on. Alright,
we are live and I should be on camera. Everything should be good to go.
Let's see what happened here.
Let's start it over again, like I had to do this morning 5 times, right?
That is strange. Turning. You are not showing up, brother.
What? I'm here.
I know you're there. What can I do here? I see you there. Plus, we're having internet problems today, everyone. Let's try something.
Well, we're going to be talking tonight about two different topics. One, we're going to be talking about David Weiss and the impossible flat Earth projection of the moon's path along the model that they're trying to present. And next, we're going to talk about how some other guys, well, Mark Sargent and the whole Melodome crew are talking about living in a virtual reality. So we're going to get to that after Jason gets everything fixed on his end here. But yeah, it should be an interesting night. Everybody's pretty chill.
Preoccupied.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can't help you. I don't see what's going on, but all you have to do is bring the link in. You know, you could have duplicated the camera scene. And always you can open up it in the studio form, too, if you ever need to make.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So...
yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Whitey probably doesn't look like she's made it. She's moving today, so she'll probably not be here tonight. But we got tons of stuff, some brand new songs that No Doubt cover was great too. While Jason gets going here, we're constantly looking for new music. That's what we like to do here. We had a bunch this morning.
You guys got your chroma key back on now. You're showing up. Your mic's a little bit in the shot on the right. And
no, it's not.
Let me
It doesn't matter. This gets deleted.
Yeah, we'll trim this all out. We'll set it back up on the fly. Your other camera was a no-go. So, we're on camera now, brother.
Woo! Hey, everybody. Nice to see you. Hope you're both having, everyone on the other side of the screen is having a great Friday. Like I said, it's a long weekend. We got the flat Earth virtual reality topics to talk about, right? What's up? Now you can talk.
Yeah, well, I'm still going to tweak out a filter.
Okay, I'll continue to talk. What else? What can I put in there? Let me get some links. You guys, has anyone else been paying attention? It was funny. They were pulling out the Titan wreckage, and none of it was crushed. That was one of the funniest parts of today. That Epstein guy from the JP Morgan case, dead, right? Car crash. The digital ID. They're really pushing that. Are you done? What's up?
Almost got it, and it is there.
We're real people. We don't have producers and people that actually, you know, we have one teammate who likes to do producing, but we don't have like anyone help us. We create our own content, everything that we create, our graphics and stuff. So it's good to see everybody. You know, how's your day going, brother?
Oh, it's going good. So I am working on graphics for Sunday, and it's a 3D eschatological chart where Team Yahawashai is going to have their own end times timeline that it's real detailed. So what I'm doing is sort of making what I consider to be like a playing card for all the different characters and events that happened during the Great Tribulation. And even the days before, so I'm doing the Jacob's Trouble, and then the 7-year Great Tribulation, and then there's 1,290 days from the Abomination of Desolation, and then there's 1,335 days from the Abomination of Desolation, and then there's 1,000 years of Christ's millennial reign, and then there's final judgment. So what we're doing is just taking all of that, the two witnesses, the three beasts. So one of the things that I want to sort of get out of the way with everybody is we're not going to be using the term Antichrist here, because it's deceiving in nature, because what a person will end up saying is the Antichrist. The Antichrist. They never say a Antichrist or one of the Antichrists. It's always the Antichrist, and that's singular, and that's only one. And so you're going to see in the end times eschatology that there are three main beasts. You've got beast number one. That's the 7 heads, 10 horns, body of a leopard, heads of lions, and feet of a bear. And you also have another beast that comes out that's 2 horns. It sort of looks like a ram, and then there's the dragon as well. So all 3 of these characters are used all throughout this end times eschatology, and and then you got the woman, and then you got the 7 trumpets, and you've got the 7 seals. So there's all these different things to place out there, and
7 bowls.
yeah. So I'm getting that all laid out, and I'm doing the rough placement of all of it right now, and it's going to be a work that's always in progress. So by having something like this, people are going to be able to examine it and criticize anything that's wrong with it. So that is going to lead to refinement. So every time we find something that's not quite right, we'll be moving it, and we'll be putting all the notations for it. And so what it does is it solidifies itself as it tightens up. And I'm excited. We're going to have a super great end times eschatology, one that I think we can be proud of.
Yeah, it's great graphics, 3-dimensional art, this, that, everything got all tight together. And if it's wrong, we can move the cards around. We can get it right. It's not like you painted it onto a painting or something very.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That'll be Sunday. We'll get into a little bit of that.
Yeah. So there's that, and yeah. So the Flat Earth Friday thing, I've enjoyed it. It seems to be a pretty good hit. The last couple times we've been talking about perspective. Tonight is going to be dealing with, well, Mark Sargent. He originally came out with the Flat Earth Clues, and his big hook, his big sell that got so many people was that he likened Earth to a video game or a virtual reality. And then as soon as he got popular, he absolutely switched, never talked about being in a virtual reality again, and only talked about being in a pressurized pizza dome for so many years. And so we've got Flatman X, who's getting, I think, probably our first shout out, that he had Mark Sargent on to talk about being in a virtual reality. And so Mark has some interesting things to say about it. I find it interesting that here we are, the guys that have been just screaming it for the last 7 years, and now all of a sudden there's this whole group within the fake flat earth that's now contemplating what we've been screaming for the last 7 years. But at least it's happening. At least the pick in the ground has pulled another point. We got another click in the chain, another ratchet, and we just keep inching our way along, brother.
That's all we can do, right? It's great that they're talking about it, and we want to talk about it too. We don't always want to be the guys that are the protagonists or the villains or the accusators or however you want to title it or whatever you want to say. Sometimes we just like to listen to the other people's topics and, you know, give our spin on things and where we see this or that. That's all it is. It's not always about shill hunting, although we are going to talk about David Weiss. So now he's known as Flat Earth Dave. Before it was DITRH. He's got these multiple names. And his main thing is that he likes to put hypnotic symbolism and hypnotic techniques on the screen and then lie to people. And I don't know if it's deep down inside he gets a kick out of it, but it doesn't work on us. Okay, we're beyond it. We know exactly what he's doing, and we like to unravel it and undo. Doing it for about 7 years now. We're going to continue to do that. Me and Dave go way back. Me and David Weiss, when he stopped mocking the flat Earth, right? He called us all retards and idiots at first, and mocked the living daylights out of us and denounced us. Then he became a flat earther only because he saw capitalism there. He's the flat Earth salesman. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be going through his content, and then, like you said, we're going to get into the Flatman X. He's, you know, shooting up the charts of YouTube. He's being put on. Mark Sargent, working probably for Google, been put on Flatman X. He's always got his DJ turntables around there. I haven't heard him do any mixing, but he's got the turntables. It's cool. He's a happy guy. He's looking for truth. So yeah, they had a conversation about the virtual reality that we live in, and we wanted to share too and give our pointers. And, you know, like I had said before, we don't always want to just come out and drag people down and, you know, armbar the shit out of them. We also want to bring up stuff that's good and say, good job, pat you on the back. You know, you are truly seeking higher levels of understanding in this reality, and we want to support it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So is there anything else that you would want to talk about before we would head off to have all that flat earth fun?
No. If you didn't tune into the morning show, you're missing out on everything. I can say that.
We'll see y'all outside.
I draw you things I see with my paper eyes. It's always been the same. I'm bored of all those things. My heart is filled with gray. It's only one choice. Just take your step. It's all about love. I draw you things I see with my paper eyes. When colors fill my heart, it's all about love. I draw you things I see with my paper eyes.
And we're back. And we are at Flat Earth Model Project voiceover. And this is something that David Weiss published 4 days ago. So
Content.
this is one of the videos that we wanted to go through that Dave recently put out. And we just want to, sit here and show you some obvious things that debunk this model as we're taking a look at it. And just remind everyone that the sun cannot be doing circles horizontal to us overhead. All right, that's not the way the shadows are being cast.
It doesn't match any observable evidence, and then the shadows actually go contradictory to that.
Mm-hmm.
They rise from the south and set to the south in the winter half of the months in the northern hemisphere, or northern half of the realm.
They do. And we'll be pointing that stuff out. So I guess a little bit of setup. This is done in Arabic, I guess, and so it's been translated to English. And so this whole model is coming from like the Muslim point of view, and so Dave's not really promoting this from the the Christian domed Earth. This is more like the Muslim domed Earth thing, right?
Yeah, this is their thing, and what they call the moon cycles.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's check it out. And once again, brother, stop me anytime you want to interject here.
Peace be upon you, our dear followers. By the grace and praise of God, the map of the sky has been installed in the Flat Earth Project. Of course, we see the sun here.
All right, we're going to start pointing things out right away. So you see all these stars dotted around here. And do you see how these are lines of longitude on an AE map? So they go to a point, and then it becomes a pi wedge. All right, so if you're a star that's up here near the point, it's going to take you one complete day to do a revolution around this point. So that star is going to be moving crazy slow. And then what's going to happen to the stars that are out here? Well, they're going to be whizzing past and then shining horizontally. So they're just going to be whipping past the horizon crazy fast. Like everything on the merry-go-round, and pulled yourself to the outside as opposed to being in the center around the outside. You're whipping really fast.
This is dropping light.
Well, the problem with the light, it's definitely not correctly showing the actual, radius of the sun's coverage of the realm either. It's way off, as you can see.
Yeah, so I think it was up a little bit higher here. All right, so this light, I've been doing this in the 3D modeling, and so on the equinox, if this is the equinox, then the sun's supposed to be directly above the equator, so it actually should be up here higher. But so at that point, it needs to be shining far enough that 90 degrees this way and 90 degrees this way, that it's lighting it up.
Half the realm.
Yeah, half the realm. And the thing is if it spreads that far, then what it does is it overlaps and goes way over the North Pole, and is keeping so the whole north.
Everybody's 24-hour sun.
Everybody would be a 24-hour sun.
But nobody wants to talk about the failures of the model.
No.
Light. Of course, the position of the sun is approaching the new orbit.
So, right there, the ecliptic path, the line here that they're saying that the moon is on, is way below, Ushuaia. Right?
This is South Africa here in Madagascar.
Yeah, we'll continue playing it.
Yeah, so they're showing the ecliptic ring being a wobble here, right? That's what they're showing, is this ecliptic ring as a wobble.
Of course, here we see the location of the sun with the analemma.
No, there's no analemma there. And that to say, of course, we see position of the sun with the analemma. There was no analemma there.
Here we adjust the world
He's got the
time.
sun over Ushuaia.
We see
Yep.
the moon.
Now, as this comes back into focus, I want to point something out here. Yeah, it's super bright. Contrast is blown out.
The
We'll
moon
have to
is
catch it on
opposite the
another
sun, of
pass.
course.
The moon is opposite, huh?
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody can pick this up, but they've got the moon over here. So they're saying that the moon's on the other side of the world, and this side of the moon is being lit by the sun facing like this, but the sun's light is not going across and lighting up the other side. It's only hitting the moon on the other side.
Well, and the ecliptic path is coming out of the ice wall here as well in this spot.
It is, yeah.
Here is the map of the sky.
So that's not
Of
correct.
course, the sun
that's not the way the
Yeah,
in the north, the stars rotate counterclockwise, and on the equator they rise, they go straight up overhead, and then they set straight up behind you, directly straight down into the earth. They rise straight up, and when you go south of there, when you look up into the sky, right, looking south, the stars circle clockwise, right, around Sigma Octans, and in the north it's around Polaris, right? And this model here has no way of showing you that because there's no Sigma Octans. There's no celestial 180 degrees south here. Every direction around this ring is south.
mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, so there's
It's impossible to navigate, nor is it's impossible to try to splay out the stars above this map because it doesn't have the 180 degrees south.
it doesn't have two poles.
You
Leads
can't.
every cycle by 1 degree within the zodiac system. Since the astronomy precedes the sun every day by 1 degree out of 365 degrees, of course, this is only an experiment.
All right, so what I
It's only
think
an experiment. Yes, that's because it's not reality in any way.
So I think what they are trying to show and demonstrate here is how the sun would slip backwards through the constellations, right?
And that's what it does. That's how it works, but not over a single pole, unipole map.
No.
Impossible. Like I said, the stars that are on the outside need to rotate clockwise, and the stars on the inside need to rotate counterclockwise. Right? Which way are all these stars rotating, everybody on the side of the screen?
They're all just
easy. This one we should get. This one I know everybody can get with me here. They're all rotating clockwise. Right? No, that's not right. The people in the north that look up at Polaris, if you do the still photography, long exposure, time-lapse photography, you'll find that the stars actually rotate counterclockwise. Oh no. What does that do to their model?
Yep.
Of course, praise be to God. The phases are happening.
They can just not have this in focus when it's
Here is the situation as in the clear picture.
North and South America. I know one of these passes. One of these passes they get.
A clear picture.
Scorpio.
It's got
Here,
the
Chola is the end of Scorpio.
sensitive background music.
And then it gets into Sagittarius, the beginning of the year in the status of Alnaya.
Elnaya.
Here we see the center of the earth.
Blurred out again. Blurred out. So intentionally.
Unfortunately,
Every time they
does not
have
give us
this.
a clear picture.
Nope, not a clear picture.
Of course, the moon is full now. Humpback decreasing moon now.
Humpback decreasing moon.
Excuse me, of course, the astronomy precedes the sun by 1 degree.
1 degree. You're excused.
Of course, the sun needs to separate from this site to this site approximately.
Yeah, it does need to fall back through the
The
constellations.
sun is in the position of the heart, of course. It needs
No,
12
the heart.
days.
The heart. 12 days to be in the heart.
That's what you want. Everybody use your heart.
In the position of the heart in Scorpio, unfortunately, the star map cannot be seen at night.
Oh no.
Oh no. What? Can't see it at night? That's when the stars are out.
Of course, God willing, we will
God
color
willing.
it white.
So we can't see
And
any of the stars
God
in this
willing, the
model.
time and date
It's a star model and we can't
Yeah.
see them. Oh no.
God willing.
Here we see history.
History.
Of course, a laser light will be placed next to the sun to determine the date for us in this location through which we can obtain the location of the sun
This is
through
so
the Analema.
crazy.
You're gonna place a laser.
Where's your Analema on this? Show me your figure eight.
They said she said it was there earlier.
No.
Of course,
This is
we
what
see
Davey-
here that we
Davey's
have
putting
stopped
out.
the system. Of course, these towers are present during the day,
Towers.
Towers.
but the towers that
Do you know what the towers would be showing?
To the lack of
Do you understand what the shadows would be doing
yeah.
if the sun was circling like this?
Mm-hmm.
They would be
No, I've met
the shadows would be spiraling around any post.
Yeah, Matrix Decode measured the shadows in 2014. Right? I
Of
did
course,
the project
we will light the system.
with them. No one, the flat earthers didn't
We
want to
see
hear
here we see the zodiacal circle.
it. Zodiacal circle, huh? The ecliptic?
Of course, the zodiacal circle is divided into 4 sections. We see here this section is small.
Look at how badly
Larger
skewed
than
the
this
top-
That's what I've been waiting to show. So if they show this a little higher,
This
I'm gonna
is
point
so
that out.
wretched.
Of course, the sun travels all distances in a period of 91 1/3 day.
all right, this might be one of our best views that we get. So you've got North Pole right here. You've got America right here. Here's Mexico. And so all of this should be going down here towards the ice wall here. But where do they have South America? They have it turned here so that if you were going due south off of the coast of Maine here,
Yeah.
all right, in Canada and stuff, that
You'd hit Honduras.
you'd have to be going this way.
It's crazy. And not only that, the sizes of the continents on the map are really, really big. So South Africa is way bigger than Russia, huh?
And so,
Russia's the largest continent.
yeah, the flight from Cape Town, South Africa, to Santiago, Chile. It's got to go over here. But now from Santiago to Sydney, I mean, you have to go from here over to here. Consider you'd be going across the middle of the United States if any of this was real. Yeah, it's really bad, everyone.
It's crazy. It's really crazy.
This distance from here to here is 91 1/3 days, and here is 91 1/3 day, and here also 91 1/3 day, and here also 91 1/3 day.
It goes way out, oh, love.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what they showed.
The sun advances
Where's the
to
tropics?
the orbit of Cancer.
They've got
It
the tropics
returns to
like
the new orbit in
way
a
off the
period
map.
of
There's no tropics on
365
this.
Yeah, so the tropics on the AE map, everybody knows where those bands are, right?
Yeah, well, the ecliptic matches the equator. Newsflash, everybody. The line that they've got skewed way off the map here, it needs to go above the equator, and then it wobbles back and forth like a degree or two. It's a minor wobble.
They have the ecliptic here absolutely completely outside of the tropics. I mean, so far outside the tropics.
It needs to go over Ecuador, people. For the model to be accurate, the celestial equator needs to be lined up with the one on the Earth. That's how it works. I mean, what are they doing? Well, I don't understand how Dave can even share this. I really don't know.
Yeah, because everybody, here's your tropics from like here to right here, and they have the ecliptic going way outside the tropics.
Yes, everything that Jason's pointing to fits nice and neatly in the ecliptic, in between the tropics. Mm-hmm. The moon just barely goes north and south of them. The moon does not go way below South Africa like that. That's. I just don't understand why nobody cares about the truth anymore.
I guess.
5 1/4 day within the zodiac system. Of course, every tower we see here, every quarter is 3 towers.
3 towers?
Every quarter, of course, and every 3 towers have 7 positions.
Every 3 towers and 7 quarters have 4 positions?
And here's 7, 7.
777.
Oh.
Praise be to Allah, right?
Praise be to God.
Beginning of the solar year.
That's it right there.
Here set the global time.
Global.
I'll get out of here with this.
I didn't even catch that the first time through.
No, I didn't either.
In this location in the status of An Aim in the sign of Sagittarius. Of course, the positions of the moon begin in An Aim.
Of course.
Then the town Saad al-Dabe, Saad al-Dabe, Saad Bale, Saad Saud, Saad al-Akazia, and al-Mokadem. Of course, this is al-Mokadem, constellations of Persians. Great Persians,
okay.
Here we see the backside of this site.
Just the Persians.
Here
backside.
Is al-Risha, followed by al-Baten, and after al-Baten,
so
we see the Pleiad.
If you take these maps and these positions and you put it on a stereographic projection, like the one Jason and I use, it actually does work. Everything that she's saying will align. But on this, it has no reality. There's no resemblance to reality whatsoever.
Pleiades in Taurus, then Aldebaran.
Yeah, the stars all rotate around us from horizon to horizon, rising from ground and setting into ground, Earth.
Of course, the positions of the moon are not all in.
Look at the absurdity of what they got here. Come on.
Up close now.
Yeah.
And Alaska is really tiny. Alaska has been super skewed. Same with Russia. There is just non-North American centric.
Yeah, so you got your Toronto up here. You got our Texas over here. And then South America is
west to get to South America. Or
South America.
Yeah. It's like due east. You're not going to hit. You're not going to hit Africa anymore. You're going to hit Honduras.
Yeah, this is bad, everyone.
Inside the towers because they indicate the positions of the moon. Of course, the moon reaches 28.5 degrees north of the equator, 28.5 degrees south of the equator over
That's
the
true.
new orbit. Of course,
They don't
watch a
have it
big
on the
circle.
model.
Of course,
Nope.
the circle belongs to the positions of the moon, and it is not regular, so that the moon enters inside this circle. Of course, we see
That was gibberish.
the moon walks exactly on this circle and does not come out of it.
Oh.
We see the moon now inside the circle.
So if everybody
Of course,
needs to
whenever
know,
he
the
retreats
moon, the moon goes throughout the 6 gates, what is it, once a month,
Yeah.
right? Whereas it takes the sun a year to go down and back up again, right? And the moon does it every month. So it just destroys. It destroys this model, because what ends up happening is, see where the sun is now below Africa? The sun rises below Africa, and then it sets going off of Africa over the edge of the, out after it's going
Yeah.
to
Hooking
Antarctica.
out.
There it goes, boom,
Hooking out.
way past the ice wall. Although someone in South America, they then see the moon rising south of them now,
Hooking
out
out.
of Antarctica, and then it's going to set back out into Antarctica again, and then the next, for North America, the same problem keeps happening
Hooking
all
out.
the way around the map. And it does this once a month, the moon. Once a month. The sun, all you have to do to understand that you don't live on an AE map is, after the fall equinox, you just start charting with a compass. You just go out. You don't need YouTube. You don't need any internet tools. You just need a compass, and you need to look at where the sun rises. You point the compass at it, and what you're going to find, it's going to start rising south. It's going to start going south, 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 so that you'll be able to tell that, yes, the sun is literally doing an anti-circular rotation as this AE map model. So half the year goes to the right, the other half of the year it hooks to the left, right? That's the problem that we've been screaming about for so many years, and it happens with the sun and the moon. Although in this model, the creator is saying that it perfectly never leaves this circle. Well, actually, it's never on that circle ever.
Right. Yeah, because it's not circling horizontal to the ground. It's not.
12 degrees, he will retreat from this position. Of course, it is present in the position of this particle.
Particle.
What? Globular particle.
Must be a bad translation.
So it retreats 12 degrees to enter the status of the limb.
Status of the limb.
Each cycle
More
is 12
gibberish.
degrees. And stay safe.
And stay safe.
They say, now, do we have something to show the actual moon's path? Oh, yeah, we do. And what am I talking about here? Who is this? Jason, what did you do? You made this model, 6 years ago? 5 years ago you made this?
Well, that's really the answer to the next.
Oh, wait, there's more. David Weiss. So, and this video is from 2015 that David's showing, right? I remember, okay, I did at one point, for a very small fraction of the time, actually think that this upside down moon thing worked on an AE map. Okay, I admit it. I was fooled, but not very long. I was one of the first ones to come out of it, right? But I was fooled by it. So don't feel ashamed if you're on the other side of the screen and you believe in the wrong model here. You believe in it. It's okay. We did too. Not for very long though.
Yeah, so this was also published 4 days ago. Why is the moon upside down in the south if we live on a flat earth? And like Ronnie was saying, this is a really old video that he's just re-uploading, but we're going to re-debunk it again. So here's David's explanation for why we could see the moon upside down on the AE map model.
Hemi's chair and Hemi's...
Yep.
From the
So
two
hold on a
hemispheres
second. We can already get a pause. So I got to tell everybody, okay? Who you're hearing speak on the other side of the screen is Press Reset Earth. Okay, me and him were buddies, Tom. We hung out, we chilled, we did a lot of podcasts together, and the other guy with him has not with us anymore. It's Jeff C. And he was the one who did the We'll Do It Live podcast, okay? And he was a truther, and he was super against Flat Earth. He thought it was there to destroy all the things that he had done and blah, blah, blah. And so when we started doing the Flat Earth harder and harder, because this is the camp that I was in 2013, 2014. These are the guys that split off. So, and Dave was actually on the baller side with them in the beginning, but then he attacked these guys. And I remember they always had their back and forth. They called Dave out saying they were tiny hat, you know, you own the banks and all this stuff. They were always attacking David's tribe, you know. So that was already something that was going on. But then David all of a sudden became the flat earther. And this was David's, you know, first basic attempt to get some credibility in the community.
All right. So also this graphic is super important because this graphic is the debunk of the Freemason New World Order AE map and model. Because you can clearly see that if this is a diagram showing the moon directly over the equator, right? Directly over the equator, and that if you're in the north, you're going to see this face. You're in the south, you're going to see this face. No, you're actually going to be seen all the way around the moon. The only thing that you would not see on the moon, if the moon's not spinning itself, is that you would never see the top of it, right?
So you should have had that model that we had from the slide presentation open, ready to show people. So what Jason's explaining is, if the moon was 3,000 miles above our head, right, like similar to the sun, or I guess it would be lower on the horizon, we'd have a lower altitude for the moon. Then if it was circling around above our head, everybody on the map would see different faces all the way around. You would see the north, east, south, and west face of the moon. This is key. I need everyone to focus on the words that I'm saying here. I'm going to say it really slow. Everybody on the realm would see 4 faces. The only face that you wouldn't really see is the top, looking down on the moon.
Yeah, you would see this side from the north, this side from the south. If you're along the equator, you would see this side as it was going away from you. You would have seen the other side of it as it was coming towards you. You'd be seeing everything except for the very top of the moon.
And the sphere claim to this is that the moon is somehow specially tidally locked, so they're constantly in the most perfect spins, so that we only ever, this is what we're trying to tell people, hey, you only ever see one face of the sun and the moon. That's it. No one has ever seen the back, upside down, left, right, none. You've only seen one face of the sun and one face of the moon.
And the neat thing with this is that they are inverted from the north to the south. So I do have a very old video that we can go to where I show a person how that is possible, how you can have one face of the moon and see it from both sides. But Dave's got another way that he thinks he's able to show it, and we're going to point out that that doesn't work. But just remember here that if we're on an AE map and model and this is spinning around overhead, that you would be seeing every single face except for the top. And if it was rotating at all, then you would see everything on it. Everything.
So does everybody, I want to have some participation from the people in the chat here. Does everybody in the chat understand that in reality, we only see one face? Everybody. Both sides of whatever shape you guys want to pretend the earth is. Everybody sees the same face.
And
also, question, go ahead.
In my heliocentrism and the fake flat earth debunked video, this proof is in that video as well, where I have the 3D modeling that shows you'd be seeing the moon from all sides except for the top. I could pull that up if you want to wait for a couple people to at least acknowledge that in that model. Let's go ahead here.
What are you pulling up? So the other thing, I'm starting to get reports that people in Canada, I think Tommy's up in Toronto, my old city. I think there's, the wildfire smoke is getting to them. And, people saying that it doesn't smell like wildfire smoke either, which is interesting.
And it almost, really?
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm still out on the fence with that one. I'm waiting for more evidence. You're going way back. How the moon debunks heliocentrism and the fake New World Order AE map and model of the plain Earth Phuket word exposed. So there's another guy who's intelligent enough to understand all of the debunks that we've been doing for 7 years, but yet still clings on to an impossible model, Phuket word. And he's supposed to be like the intellectual smart one of the community, right?
Yeah.
Look, Jeffrey Grupp, he quit. He did the debate with Reds, which was a nightmare. Jeffrey Grupp quit. Brian Mullen quit. Tiger Dan quit. All the people that were intelligent that saw what we were saying, tested it out, they just quit instead of continuing on to prove the truth of our reality. They just all quit. Oh, it must be a sphere, or they're paid off. I don't know how it works with the agents.
So I think this might be the debunk. Now that we are getting to see the moon from these side angles, another huge flaw is becoming self-evident. If we are an observer between 28.64 degrees north or south latitude, we know that the moon is going to travel 90 degrees overhead at some time or another. That means that we are going to see a side view of the moon coming and going from us. Not only... Alright, everybody's starting to visually picture this now. If this is rotating around the North Pole here, that you're going to be able to see this from all sides, all the way around. Could you never see a full moon from these latitudes, like in Fake Flat Earth PSYOP Debunk number 2, but you would have to be able to see a side of the moon that no one has ever seen. If this is the way the moon is seen from north of the equator, and this is the way the moon is seen from south of the equator, then you cannot have the same faces of the moon on the sides of the moon. Everybody get that?
It's pretty plain and simple. Nobody's, said that they understand what we're saying, but we're trying to hope that they do now.
Yeah, so we're going into the proof that the moon is two-dimensional and the sun is two-dimensional. It can't be a three-dimensional sphere, because then you would be able to see all the way around it.
Well, and the evidence is that for you to model it, to represent it in reality, you had to use a two-dimensional plane. Crossed by itself, so that everybody sees what's happening in this model that Jason's showing you. Is everybody's seeing the one face of the moon all the way around it, if you guys are looking at what he's showing.
So we can go back to Dave's video here, and we'll see how he tries to save this for the fake flat earth.
The globe, right, that we're on, as you can see here in the corner, upper left-hand corner, the moon actually appears completely upside down in comparison. So if you're in, like, Southern America, South America...
Hang on. And that's a lie, too. Right? Depending on your latitude, you'll have a different declination or rotation of the sphere. Or that it's not a sphere. Put it on the map there. It's more like a light. Like a light. Picture the moon like a light. Like a flat LCD light. Circular. Right? Flat, two-dimensional circular LED light. Right? And you'll see the man on the moon in different rotations the entire north to south. Everywhere, the further north you go, the different it'll tilt, and the further south you go, the different it'll tilt. We did an experiment. David Weiss, John LeBon, and Matrix Decode actually all took pictures of the moon during a full moon, and we all put them online, and we all witnessed exactly how all of our moons from our different latitudes were different angles. The one wasn't perfectly upside down in Australia, and the one in, I guess I was the most north in Toronto, wasn't directly up north, top, so it depends on where you are on the map as to what the degree of the angle is. Just to state that one's upside down and one's not is not true.
Compared to Canada, the moon, if you take a picture of it, it's going to be the same image except upside down, right?
Yeah.
So their rebuttal, the flat earth rebuttal to this, their explanation is that while you're on a flat surface, you look at the moon in the two different hemispheres, say this is the southern hemisphere and this is the northern hemisphere. This is why it looks upside down in comparison to the other person, which doesn't make any sense. And a better
No, it doesn't make any sense. When he says it doesn't make any sense, it's because on the fake flat earth, you'd be seen all the way around the moon. All the way around.
On the globe, and on the globe Earth too. On the globe Earth, we have the moon being a circular globe moon, globular shaped. We would see all the way around it too, as it's rotated around the backside of the Earth. You'd see the bottom. You would, and the people on the top would see the top of the moon.
Well, but they're saying that it's just because of the person being upside down. So because they have the moon so far away, they're saying that the only reason the image is inverted is because the people are inverted from each other.
So they believe that everybody on Australia is upside down.
Upside down.
Yeah, okay.
To sort of picture this is if you're on a flat surface, let's say like a massive basketball court or just a flat earth, right? and you're looking up at a sphere, and it says the word sphere on it. Right?
Yes.
And how? And I want people to, you can't explain this rationally. Anybody who says you can is suffering cognitive dissonance, or they're a shill. You can't ever, in comparison to one another, see the same image upside down. So if that, how could this word sphere appear upside down to the other person on a flat surface? How could that ever happen on a flat surface? It can't. It can only happen if the two people in the two hemispheres are upside down in comparison to each other. Now, this would work on a globe Earth, or it would work on a pyramid Earth.
No, it works on a flat Earth.
Here I am.
Just not a circular one.
Room. Heading over to the northern side. My northern hemisphere. Spinning back to the middle. Where I have my equator that divides my living room in half. I continue south to the southern hemisphere. And we go back north to the equator. We look up. And there's our shill in the moon.
That's supposed to be Jeff.
Heading over north. We turn around. We look up at the moon. And there's our shill in the moon looking right at us. We come back down.
So it does debunk press resets theory, though.
It does.
South to the southern hemisphere once again. And we look up. And there's our shill in the moon upside down.
The only problem with this is the moon has to be two-dimensional and flat down to the surface.
Which is not. It's perpendicular.
It has to be two-dimensional, because as soon as you make that image three-dimensional and he walks around the room, you can see the whole thing from all sides, and the face will only be on the bottom. All right, but you could see all the rest of the sides if this was three-dimensional. So that's the problem with the Freemason New World Order AE map and model pressurized pizza dome, is they still treat the sun and moon as physical 3D objects. They won't say what they are, but they still absolutely treat them as physical 3D objects. They don't treat them where they could be a two-dimensional light, like they actually are.
That's well, I mean, everybody sees the same face. Now, you're going to move on to your next link, I'm sure, in a moment, and this is where you've modeled up, okay, this is what we want people on the other side of the screen. Just do your own research. Go and film the moon rise, the moon set. Go and watch it with your own eyes if you can't film it. And just see how it rotates, how it operates, how it cartwheels. If you take the time to investigate what's happening, its angle, how it's rising through the sky, you're going to start to understand that it's not doing circles above your head. It's rising up out of the ground, going above you, and then it sets back down into the ground. That's what we all witnessed.
Yeah, so this is an old series that I have that I don't even have public anymore. But this was part 3, how to make a working model of the moon, making connections to and within simulation reality. That was published November 28th, 2016. And basically all I need it for is the graphics here. And I'm just pointing out that what you need to do to make a working model is get yourself a PNG of the moon. That means that around the edges of it, it's transparent. Sometimes you'll see these checkerboards around here. Then you can import this, and all you have is the moon itself. You don't have to have the edges here being part of the image. So, you know, bring that into anything you want. I was using the most basic things. This is SketchUp. It's free. And so you import the image. And there I've got it, you know, initially laying down. Now we need to stand it up. And so I'll get it moved around. I'm going to twist it up into position using a little protractor device. right on the corner there. Click once out on this edge. Now I'm going to bring it up 90 degrees. I can just type that in and hit enter. Now if you take a look at what we have here, this PNG is transparent in a way. So we've got this. Alright, so take a look at this like you're in the north looking south right now, and you've got this iconic spot on the moon that all of us should be able to find. And in the image right now, it's up at the top. So this is the north looking south. Now we're going to spin around. Crater up here. And it's at the top. Like we are in the south looking north. And the way the image is right now, both sides, this iconic spot is up at the top. Alright, so this isn't working. So watch what I do. Top over here. From what I understand, from the north, we need to get this crater down to the bottom. So what we're going to be doing is duplicating this and flipping it over. Now to duplicate this, I'm going to get in position alongside this here. Go through this, make a duplicate of it. I go in here, I'm going to type 180. Now I've flipped them over. And it's north right here. Just take your... And now from the north, when you're looking at the moon, you've got this iconic spot right here down. Cursor tool like that and select away from it. And now from the north, we've got this crater towards the bottom. Boom. This lays out correct from the north, I believe.
You got your laptop mic.
And a person from the southern hemisphere, I believe, is supposed to see the moon like this. There you go. So now the next thing you do is put this out on a radius. Down here, I've got. Let me get this out on the radius. Got moon up there. Rotate tool. So now it's like on a pendulum arm. Origin. Up here. That I can rotate. And so one of the things that you'll learn about the moon is that it actually cartwheels through the sky. So that iconic crater is going to go in a clockwise rotation as it goes through the sky. And I'm showing everybody the reason why, because when it's locked to this rotational point and it rotates around you, all right, you'll have this face pointing up at first, and then it'll be pointing down as it's setting. So it'll have that rotation as it goes around you in the sky. Is that what we see? All right, so there's the cartwheel action, and it's actually the cartwheel action that proves that the moon is two-dimensional. Go out and try to model it, everybody. The only way you can have just one side of the moon visible to the north, one side of the moon visible to the south, and have it rotate in a cartwheel action around you is if it's flat, if it's two-dimensional.
Two-dimensional. And the same thing goes with the rainbows and all the stars.
Rainbows and all the stars.
Same exact principle when we talk about things that are in the heavens, and then the things that are on the earth. We're going to differentiate them now between two-dimensional objects and three-dimensional objects.
That's it. It's that simple, everyone. So that's really the end of the David Weiss stuff. You want to take a break, and then we'll come back with some simulation talk?
Let's do it. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
When you think you're not enough, you don't fit in. Go and wear your heart upon your sleeve, but it's hard when you don't believe. Over your head is a looming dark. Nobody knows who they really are. this far. Leave your demons at the door. You won't need them anymore. Don't they always say there's a better way out? When you think you're not enough, you don't fit in. When you feel like giving up, but now there's no one listening. Down in your bones, head in your heart. Get up and fight or you'll fall apart. So go and wear your heart upon your sleeve. But it's hard when you don't believe. Tell me if I'm not spiraling into the same hole that I was in. Nobody there, no one listening, but I'm here and I hear you too. When it's all said and done, you're as strong as anyone. Don't they always say there's a better way out? When you think you're not enough, you don't fit in. When you feel like giving up, but now there's no one listening. Down in your bones, head in your heart. Get up and fight or you'll fall apart. So go and wear your heart upon your sleeve. But it's hard when you don't Standing on the edge of the divide. If you turn away, the pain will fade and go with every stride. Bury your hurt, carry your pride. Never let go, you don't need to hide. With a heavy heart upon your sleeve, you can be who you want to be.
And we're back.
Yeah, that was Better Way Out, performed by Caskets. Another brand new track for everybody to chill with.
And here we are. FMX Radio Simulation Theory with Mark Sargent. So, yeah, this is...
I was shocked because we've been asking Mark for years. Is he going to talk about, this Earth being like a video game? We've been talking about it, but we haven't got a response. So Flatman X, brought it up, and we were there. We seen the whole team balking at it. It was Karen B. She started doing puke emojis.
Mm-hmm.
Said it was the stupidest thing that she ever heard. And then more and more FMX Radio kept pushing it. And then all of a sudden, boom, here's the podcast with Mark Sargent about simulation. Now, we don't call it simulation theory anymore.
No.
Right? We're not a simulation. We're actually alive, aware, sentient beings inside of a virtual reality.
Well, and that's one of the things to point out, that if somebody is calling it a simulation, they're really straw manning the whole thing, because we're not saying that you're make believe, we're make believe, that we're we're made up, that we're not real. That is not the argument whatsoever. What we're showing people is that we're in a virtual reality. So Apple's got some new goggles out that you can put on these goggles, and now you've got augmented reality. So what we're saying is that we're in something where not only can you see, right, but you can hear, you can taste, you can touch, and you can feel. You have 5 absolute senses where you're connected to this world through the avatar of your body.
That's right. We already have our eyes are the Google Wear, the Google glasses. We already have them.
Yeah. So we're going to be going through not all of this because it's 2 hours long. But what we're going to do is we're going to sort of get through the beginning of it, and then they get bogged down. They go into topics like AI and act like AI is real and all this kind of stuff.
Well,
so we'll start doing some skipping at a certain point.
And Mark's obsession. He is obsessed with constantly pushing movies, television shows, cartoons, just over and over and over. He is absolutely obsessed with that stuff.
Yeah, so if we start getting bogged down in some of those areas, we'll be doing some jumping, but we'll get everything set up, laid out here, and stop me anytime you want, brother.
Is it muted?
No, this is the way he's...
Oh, this is his intro.
This is his intro.
Okay.
Alright, so he's got the guy running into the cosmos.
The cube.
Shout out to Flatman X from FMX Radio.
So he's got a Mark Sargent promo clip.
Hey, Karen, be the current queen of Flat Earth. It must be hard to find Flat Earth friends. Do you know an easy way?
Or a drag queen? What did you say?
All right, let me slow this down. I was going to try to get by with...
He just called... What did he say? I couldn't...
Flat Earth. It must be hard to find Flat Earth friends. Do you know an easy way to find cool people like yourself and solid info about our stationary horizontal level plane?
Why, yes, that would be the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac clock app.
Oh.
100,000.
So you've got Mark.
Regular speed?
Yeah. That is regular speed. You've got Mark and Karen promoting the blue dots of David Weiss, who we just showed is promoting something that's impossible.
Active users. Don't forget to fill out your profile so others can know your interests and network better with you.
The dating app.
Yeah.
Share the app everywhere with your
Be a
customers.
blue dot.
Easily organize meetups by messaging all the blue dots within
So
your...
this is the way FMX is starting his podcast.
Okay.
Selling the app.
Turn on
Alright, we'll put it up. Here you go, everybody.
Yeah.
Moon and Zodiac clock.
Give all access to all of your data to David Weiss.
And who knows who else is on there looking to see who's around. I mean, I don't want to be tracked by nobody.
There's the impossible model. And then FMX is, I guess, he's the spaceman coming out of the goo.
Swimming in the stars. Not bad. It's decent. And he's getting better. He's getting better.
Shout out to Flatman X Radio.
Oh, got the Karen plugged.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We can bump this back
The
up.
hump day is here yet again. It's a glorious day.
You know,
and man, have we got a treat for you? Switching up-
Flatman X needs to... Brother, please invest in... I don't know why he's using that mic. You know, he needs to get... What's that one that everybody's using? The Shure?
Sure, yeah.
The one that got him in it's got.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would work better than that mic. And I don't know why. He goes up and down throughout this whole podcast. He doesn't have a steady...
Yeah, he's moving the slider a little too much, and he's trying to overwork the deep voice a little too hard. But I just want to point out...
That's his thing.
I know. It's best to be natural. Don't overwork it. So, Mark Sargent, I did not know Jonathan was back. Maybe I'll see him in Vegas.
Jonathan? Oh, boy. I guess it's going to get more exciting in the FE content.
Remember, so Karen B, like Ronnie was saying, hates anybody talking about this being a virtual reality. Just loses it on people.
She's more into, Bigfoot. She's all into the Bigfoot, which has absolutely been proven to be a CIA mind control experiment where they actually test and rate the level of stupidity in the public. The whole entire thing has been a psyop since day one. But no, Karen B believes in Bigfoot, Sasquatch.
The high vibration conversations, we're not switching it up. Always high vibration conversation. But man, let me bring in my panel with you right off the bat. My special guest first, Mr. Mark Sargent, brother. How's it going?
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a long time since we talked about before the show. A lot of you might not know my first attempts at podcasting was about a year and a half ago, mimicking his very popular Strange World, calling it Strange Realm, for only about 5 episodes, interviewing some of my most favorite people, including yourself, Miss Karen, Jaron, Brian, and Dave Weiss, of course, Dave.
Everybody catching the click? It's all the same characters.
Let me go ahead and bring in the rest of my crew. Austin from the Melodome, and of course Traveling Tribune from the self-proclaimed channel, the absolute best at True Earth debating. What's up, gentlemen? How you doing?
What's up, guys? Another fantastic hump day.
Okay, great. So we got a lot of things to kind of cover. We can go a lot of
that was flat.
With it. Well, Mark,
self-proclaimed debater, huh?
Because you're
Troubling Tribune. He's got the $sign, Mr. Tribune.
Is that his Cash App or whatever that people are using today?
I guess. So that was a little flat. You got Austin from Melodome coming in, Troubling Tribune coming in, and Mark still really needs to get introduced.
You're the one that kind of put this in my head so many years ago about this terrarium that we find ourselves in. Terrarium being just more than that.
So are we talking about being in virtual reality today or being in a terrarium?
Skiba's terrarium, right?
But some type of highly sophisticated simulation is the best.
See, simulation, wrong word.
It's not the best word, no.
No. Bad.
Term word for the moment. It seems to trigger some people sometimes, but I think we're going to work around that today.
Triggers their team.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you want me to break that down a bit for you?
Sure, if you don't mind.
Sure. No, I'd be happy to. If you've heard me do interviews, I've not been shy about saying that one of the big reasons I use the term flat Earth or enclosed world is that is the lowest common denominator in terms of trying to understand this place. Meaning, I'd love to jump into, and I wish I did over the years, jump more into simulation and matrix and virtual worlds and every other description for it. But most people don't get it still. I mean, remember, the Matrix is now 24 years old.
How about us? I mean, 7 years now, we've been going head to head against these guys, saying that we're in a virtual reality, showing the proof. Yeah.
With evidence.
How to go record clouds behind the sun and all this kind of stuff. The path of the sun around the observer, meaning that it's coming into and out of Earth. That doesn't really work in an atomistic materiality.
Domed in terrarium.
Yeah.
Which is stunning, how fast time flies, and yet most people really don't understand it. It's like, oh, wow, it's a great action film. It's like, yeah, but do you really know what it was about? There was a lot of deeper meaning there in that movie, and we had other movies like The 13th Floor, and then the previous versions of that, and
all the movies.
So for me, I kind of compare it to the video game world, which is the video game world. Most people don't understand that 99% of all games that you play, whether it be Fortnite or Warcraft or Minecraft or whatever it is, they're totally flat. They're built in fact, they're built in a giant box, and there's no.
So this is the reason.
Giant box.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay, we're getting a square shape.
This is the reason why Mark was such a hit when he came out with his Flat Earth Clues, because he was telling everybody it's like a video game. It's a 3-dimensional virtual world. And then, like I said, he just, as soon as he got popular, he quit that narrative 100%, wouldn't talk about it, and just went pure terrarium. A Truman Show enclosed dome world. And he had his dome show, and everything was dome.
And Google.
But now he's coming back to being in a virtual reality, which is good.
It's great.
Dome, the sky looks like a dome. In fact, the software that's used, or the design software that's used, is called a skybox system. I mean, yes, of course, there's peaks and valleys and all the little bumpy bits in the middle, but the edges line up and they're squared off. Everything's.
So I did a video a while ago, at least 6 years ago. Mark probably saw it. It was about a scientist named George Smoot, who did an experiment with the universities that he was situated with, I believe, in California. And they set up a camera type satellite balloon experiment, and they took a picture of the sky mark. And then what they did was they analyzed the picture, and what they ended up finding is that the picture had the sky flat.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't concave and it wasn't convex.
Flat.
It was flat.
Just like we were saying with the moon and the sun.
The problem is
they're flat.
It's a flat, two-dimensional sky, yet it wraps around the observer, depending on your latitude, will be the angle of everything in the sky.
And like Mark was saying, in the game development world, it's called a skybox. That's how they do it.
Unreal Engine.
In right angles, because computers love right angles. They don't like circles at all. They can't draw.
True.
They can only draw an illusion of a circle in a sphere.
True.
So that's really what I like delving into, which is there's a couple things, and please feel free to interrupt me at any point, because I like to go on rambles. If it is flat it's enclosed, it's probably digital.
Well, there you go.
Digital.
Come on. Where's the bell? Ring the bell. Because we've been fighting for a long time for him to get to say that one. Bing. Yes. Let's hear him say it one more time.
There's a couple things, and please feel free to interrupt me at any point, because I like to go on rambles. If it is flat and it's enclosed, it's probably digital.
Bing.
Not enclosed. Well, yeah. You mean you can't? No, it is. If we want to look at the specific nature of this reality, it is an infinite open closed system. You can travel in any direction and still cross upon the same path, the same spot that you start at, right? So you can travel infinitely in any direction, but you'll never leave the 24,000 mile wide realm. You'll never get to a new realm outside our pond, because that's the other nonsense that this team is promoting, that there's more worlds, other ponds. Mm-hmm. Okay, do people understand the amount of actual exploration? All the sailors, everybody that, went throughout the realm and drew maps of the whole entire thing. It's like they've completely disregarded any history, the entire flat earth. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you right now, Mark Sargent, Robbie Davidson, a bunch of these guys were actually from the Flat Earth Society. Mm-hmm. Mark was a literal card-carrying member, and they came out with the AE map model domed traveling upwards, which Dell is now promoting, right?
Yeah.
Eric Dubay came out as the anti-Flat Earth Society. He had IFRS, which is the International Flat Earth Research website. And anybody that joined it, what happened to you when you joined it, Jason?
Banned.
Same like within a day, maybe an hour after I joined it, banned. Except for shills like Jaron, David Weiss, they made the wall of shame that they would call it, but they were promoting their same team. And their entire modus operandi was to promote the AE map and model because it was easily debunked. And then they wanted to tie it to the scriptures so that they could debunk the Bible and all the creator's word in the same time. But it didn't work.
Nope. Standing in the gap.
Let's start there. Which is because there are things in this world which just scream simulation. And I'm sorry for the people that just don't like simulation theory. It's like, look, come on. What do you think our entertainment industry has been striving to do for decades?
Who cares about entertainment?
The concept of it. That's what we've been screaming.
Who cares?
And everybody wants it. Everyone wants the holodeck. Everybody wants the virtual reality. Everyone wants the Matrix. You don't have to like it, but that's what we'd love to do.
What about
all sorts of books and science fiction movies that have talked about when we... In fact, as much as I don't like to quote Scott Adams now, the creator of Dilbert and Dogbert, because he got himself in a little trouble recently after he got the shot, and then he regretted having the shot, and then he figured, I don't care, so I'm just going to talk about whatever. But he wrote a foreword to a book years ago, which I loved, and he said, the last invention we'll ever make as a civilization is the holodeck, because that's all he had really to go off of was Star Trek Next Gen back in the day. And what he meant by that was, he says, once the holodeck, in fact, he laughed in other things, it's like, it just stunned him to no end that the holodeck on Star Trek Next Gen was always vacant. It was always open. There wasn't this big waiting line in there. It's like, are you kidding? You're in deep space, supposedly, right? There's going to be lines out the freaking door for that. That thing is going to be booked like a reservation at a hot restaurant. And he goes, once that is invented, no one will want to do anything else. In fact, the concept of deep space just goes out the window. It's like, why? You can simulate anything. So why?
What kind of a Hollywood narrative is this? Like, everyone's just going to starve to death because they're going to be plugged into the holodeck.
Well, he's pushing 100% laziness, that will always go for the laziest option.
People love to go out to the lake and call the loons and go to different places and look at the rocks and the hills. People aren't going to just put on masks, Mark, and all of a sudden never want to venture out in the real reality. For anyone to think that, you're absolutely crazy.
Would you ever want to do anything on your own? And so basically what he was saying was that people would just make enough money to plug into that. And that's all they would do.
That's
and
it.
That would just collapse civilization as we know it.
One thing I can pause. I know for sure that it would be hypersexualized as soon as you get the suit. And that there might be one of the darkest problems with the upcoming virtual technology. Not as much as... And maybe that's what Mark's backhandedly getting at.
Yeah. People will... Well, he's saying that humans are base and that they're just going to go for the easiest, simplest, pleasure-seeking route that they can.
Progress for our civilization would just stop. No one... I mean, of course, there'd be some ambitious people out there, but the masses, no. The masses are lazy. Always have been, always will be. And so the simulation would... So, sorry. Let me back up a little bit.
Spoken like a true
That being said, why should anybody be surprised?
Has this guy ever built a wall? Has this guy ever done any work, dug a hole? Has he ever done anything with his hands? And he's going to come out here and say that most of society is lazy? Video game guy that supposedly won his accolades, what was it, from a ping pong or
Pinball. Virtual.
Virtual pinball guy? He changed the clock speed and was able to double this and that and score extra points.
Cheated. Just cheat code.
Why is he going to throw humanity under the bus? You're all lazy. You're all stupid. I mean, what kind of an attitude is this? This is supposed to be the high vibe tribe.
Yeah, he's speaking with authority now, too.
True Satanist. That's what the Satanists say. Mark Passio, you're all clowns. You're all retard. This is what they get?
Because all the movies say it, right?
Surprised that because we are trying to make simulations at such an accelerated rate, why would it surprise anybody that we might already be in one?
Virtual realities.
See, that's the mainstream narrative. And some stupid snot-nosed kid created this reality, and he hates us. We're like an ant farm. This is what Mark wants to talk about.
Well, and that's what the spin-offs are going to be. So you'll have within the fake flat earth crowd now those that will spin off and say that we're in a virtual reality, but they'll say we're in a simulation, and then they'll say that the creator is a snot-nosed kid in the basement, and he's an idiot. Guys like Eric Dubé will say that he could do it better.
Better, yes, yeah, without the stingy things and
Yeah, not having to forget when you come into the world,
and that whole thing is how would you understand what bliss is unless you understand what trauma and suffering was? So, but we could get into so many other topics. Mark and they constantly are promoting these, just horrible thought I can't even believe.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of templing going on from Flatman X, and we've got nothing out of these other guys. We'll see that they actually are going to be bailing pretty soon.
Base reality and that concept later down the road. That's my opening statement. There you go.
Go ahead, Traveling. Your thoughts, brother. Oh, you're muted.
Every time, right? Once per show.
Hate to see it.
Oh, it's a rookie mistake.
Oh yeah, I make all the time too. You should watch my show too. I biff the intro at least once a week. So that's always.
I did today.
No, dude, I once went 7 minutes on mute, where I was by myself, until somebody messaged me. It's like, is there a show happening? It's like, oh damn it.
I guess not for another 7 minutes.
Yeah.
First off, I want to thank you, Mark, for taking the time. This is actually my first opportunity to be able to have a conversation with you. So,
cool.
Big shout out, legend in the community. I know that you've
a legend.
Been a huge influence to just about everybody in this community.
Thanks, man.
So what is Mark known for? He's known for the A Flat Earth convention with him and Pat Steer.
Yeah, they had the flatties.
You know, he was in Behind the Curve. He was a star.
Starred in Behind the Curve.
You know. What else has Mark done? Is that it?
The Clues. He came out with the Clues, and he also remember all the it's not his real name. He's an LLC from where.
Oh yeah, the app.
There's
the whole app and Metatron fiasco. I mean, if we really wanted to get into the details on Mark, we really could. But let's just stick with the simulation. Yeah. So I mean, he's a legend, but he's not the type of legend that Trouble and Tribune's letting on to, right?
And he completely railroaded the flat Earth. What he did, he came out, he promoted it, he got everybody promoting the fake model, and then they debunked it, buried everybody, and left all the debunks up with him running around like a fool, including the documentary that, mind you, Jason actually went to the meetup, right? Said his mind, did whatever, and they used a clip trying to shame you because you said that you had lost family and friends over the truth. Shamed you in the documentary, and then basically Jaron proved that it was curved, and Bob proved that it was spinning, and Mark was the narrator of half of it.
Yeah, that's what happened. There's the legend.
Huge shout out, massive props, big shoes to fill for the next generation coming up. Which I mean, I don't even know what we would call it. Right? Do we have generation names for the YouTubers yet?
But not yet. In our community, I still like just calling us Flat Earth 2.0, really, just to make sure no one confuses us with the original Flat Earth Society.
The one that Ronnie was mentioning, he's the card-carrying guy of. Don't confuse it.
Yeah,
to this day, it's never
he's saying that watch this.
fully integrated with us, and I never really understood why, but
that shake.
Mark
Never fully integrated with us, and I don't understand why. He literally, him and Robbie Davidson integrated.
They are the Flat Earth Society.
never.
Yeah, it almost seems weird, but I won't go too far into that side of things.
Right.
Stick into the topic at hand, right? The simulation theory. I mean, first off, I start by saying I think it's totally possible. I don't know how we would be able to differentiate between a simulation and a sort of base reality.
Pause
when you
it.
go that.
Pause it. I can just throw off the top of my mind. So there are ways that we can test. So when we actually try to measure things in distances and they become fuzzy and despotized on the gray scale, we start to realize that we're actually not in something that's easily provably real. Everything breaks down. It blurs out. We can't drill in on our skin.
Pixelates on the small side and pixelates on the large side.
That's right. These are ways that we can actually investigate reality and find out if we're in a real world or in a virtual one. And, it keeps coming back to actually a virtual created realm.
Well, and another way would be through changes. So then the Manduzela effect. And another way would be through the actual lights. All right. So as the sun rotates around you, by observing the shadows and seeing the path of the sun around you, you could see whether or not it was rising from Earth and setting into Earth. And if you saw that, then you would know that it can't be the atomistic reality taught by Kabbalists. Right? So there's a lot of ways. We even talked to NASA at the Great American Eclipse in 2017, and the guy from NASA said if you can't prove that you're not in a virtual reality, right?
That's right.
That way.
Right.
But I definitely get what you mean, and the video games all having flat maps, like that was one of the big things to me that tell me that it's possible for the Earth to be flat, right? We literally have all these models, if you will, of how it can work, and the way that the sky works, it's all digital processing. So when it comes to how we're dealing with actual reality, how would we be able to determine any kind of realness, right, from ones and zeros, a computer program that we happen to be residing in, right?
Yep.
This happened like generations ago.
We're not saying we're a made-up computer program. We're in a virtual reality.
How would we even know, right? I get the concept. The civilization, this would happen every time. Civilization creates a holodeck. Whole world migrates into holodeck and then begins a brand new society within the holodeck, and nobody knows the wiser, right? I guess that's like my biggest question and contingency is like, how would we determine the difference?
Yeah, you know what? Let me interject.
We explained
there in which you said how you just gave me one of the ideas, which was how you could fool civilization so easily. And again, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village, from
a movie
was such a great. And remember, they didn't use that wasn't a digital con job. That was physical, where you just take kids, you set up a community, you build basically an Amish community in the middle of a national forest, and then you can tell the kids anything you want. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, we live in the 1800s, and this is the level of technology. You make sure planes don't fly over it. You're very wealthy people. And what I thought, again...
And that's basically the premise of, like, that show Silo that Elon Musk is promoting now too, right?
True.
And which I built into the clues was fascinating, was when those adults that move the kids there pass away, when they die, no one's lying anymore. The kids could pass lie detectors tests. It's like, oh yeah, we're living in our little town, and it's the 1800s, and they would not know any different. And I found that fascinating. That, again, I'll end with this. The line from the Truman Show is so very, very true, which is, we believe the world that is presented to us. As long as it's done sincerely and with conviction, why would we question it? You don't know any different.
Speaking of, that's a great line, Mark, actually. Speaking of the Truman, I don't know if you know, recently, I've been much motivated to reinvigorate the storyline myself, doing my own production with my friend Skylar here, being my quote-unquote Truman. So the idea would be not to make a whole full-fledged movie, which would be awesome one day to do, but to make small increments of it, 5 to 10 minutes at a time, very TikTok consumable, to kind of replant that message, but with a little bit more of FE imagery and symbolism.
This is Flatman X's sales pitch.
Making our own spin, more of an entertainment than documentary style, obviously. There's lots of awesome, great documentary people out there. I don't think I need to be another one. And there's so many people who do it better to be. Matter of fact, the one you're just in, Untold Origins, I can't wait to watch that. That looks amazing.
I have not seen it yet. I don't know if I don't think it's even done. I don't think it's even out of edit.
So Mark's in a new documentary, Untold Origins, but he's never seen it. Doesn't know anything about it.
Yet, but I'm hoping for the best.
He just released a really good trailer. I mean, the production value is impeccable. I'm very impressed. I can't wait to watch it. I hope I can maintain that type of quality when I release mine.
Cool.
Matter of fact, do you mind if I show you a quick little snippet? I made this kind of just last night. I wanted to show off kind of what we were talking about. It's a little got to do with simulation, a little bit of robot Freeman Morgan. Want to show you real quick?
Sure.
Oh, see, check it out.
Oh. Sorry, Flatman X is going to be showing off his video editing. So
Friday Flat Earth Flatman Egg.
So here it comes. We'll be doing a little review.
Take a little break. 2 minutes. Be right back.
He's shining.
Chakra guy.
I am not Morgan Freeman. What you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it's not. What if I were to tell you that I'm not even a human being? 2. Would you believe me?
1.
What is your perception of reality?
All right, so we're going from Morgan Freeman being digital to now I got the space shuttle.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We have filter ready to start. 2, 1, 0. Booster ignition and liftoff of Shuttle Endeavour, NASA's final space station carbon that brings a vague view of our celestial backyard.
They had to close that program.
This is Mission Control Houston. Endeavour's rolling.
Look at that glow.
Heads down position on track towards flight to the International Space Station.
What is he doing?
This looks like a NASA space
ad.
NASA ad.
2 seconds into the flight. 3 fuel main engines.
Is it gonna blow up?
It's
No. No, it's just a space shuttle launch from NASA. Okay, that's not real. And that's Stonehenge, which not real. I remember, like in the 60s, they had the cranes come in, they moved it around.
And go there with a chisel and take a couple swipes at any of those there Stonehenge rocks and watch them fall apart.
Yeah, and that's not even the real Stonehenge. But this isn't real sky either. Oh, we've got
The moon landing.
moon landing.
That's symbolism.
True Earth.
It's also. pause it. So right here is another common huge fail that all fake flat earthers make. We've been explaining this for years. It was I can't remember his name. Globes Trot Stomper. I can't remember his name. He was the one who came out with the information that there was a yo-yo that detaches from the rocket that stops it from spinning, so that you get the static good image. Right? It didn't hit the dome. There's no evidence of any dome, everybody.
Well, and here's the thing that'll, I mean, you really come across retarded if you think this hit the dome, because this made it like 200,000 feet. So now you're telling us that the dome is 200,000 feet high, right?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
In their model, they have the sun and moon 3,000 miles high. Right? Because if you triangulate the sun at the equator from 45 degrees north and 45 degrees south, the sun's going to be 45 degrees above the equator, and from 45 degrees north and south to the equator is 3,000 miles. So the right triangle rule, that means that the sun is 3,000 miles high in their model, yet they're saying this hit the dome at 200,000 feet. Get out of here. That's just, and the camera's fine. I just lightly bumped the dome, right? Get out of here.
I just want to show off that a little bit.
Cool.
Right?
Cool.
Bring that type of quality, but a little bit epicness, make it a little bit more theatrical. Need to bring some entertainment to this side.
What?
Of the community.
It was all Globe Earth propaganda. It was all well edited. He's been working hard, doing lots of editing. I'm not trying to cut up the guy's what he loves to do. He's clearly a happy guy, doing what he loves. I don't want to cut him up, but that was just all nonsense, misinformation, propaganda. You had the shuttle launching. You had the rocket hitting the dome, the go fast. You had all the lies and disinformation. You had the moon landing. Well, at least the moon landing looked fake. So is it that they love to like take the piss, so to speak? We're not really promoting that the shuttle was real, but we're going to show it to you and put cool music to it. I'm confused as to what is in this guy's head. How does Flatman X think that is the kind of content that's going to be good for the truth and for, the flat realm? Why does he think showing NASA? And I'm confused.
Yeah, so he comes back out of his clip and Austin's already bolted. He's out.
I kind of was hoping to entangle some of the maybe even simulation theory in there, make it a little bit Men in Blacky, as it were.
You sort of forgot to do that part.
And Alex Michael, by the way, says you ruined his life back in 2016. Just a reminder that it's still affecting others, even now, years later, the ripple effect.
I have heard that a few times. I am both happy and sad that I've ruined a number of people's lives. As long as I don't get hate mail, totally fine with that. So thank you, Alex.
Shout out, Conspiracy Music Guru. Usually on the third hour, you don't have to pay for it, but we go over
playing the victim, Marky.
Conscious music. So a lot of people come over, they're on their way home from work or on their lunch break on the
Try
West
being
Coast. We're
censored.
gonna jam out for a while. We do a lot of his music over there naturally.
Hate mail.
Cool.
Yeah. So to continue the conversation.
Austin's back.
Austin, matter of fact,
came back.
Get a chance to say anything. Did you want to put your input on?
Yeah. First of all, it's an honor to be talking with you, Mark. I met you at Flighttoberfest. You're an absolute legend.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and
Legend.
My thing is with simulation theory.
Remember, this Austin guy hates simulation. Like it's come up on his show that he does, and he just lows against it, says how dumb it is. Same as Karen B. But now that Flatman X has pushed it to have Mark Sargent come on and talk about being, they'll say, in a simulation. Here's Austin's spin now. Let's see what he's got.
When we make these video games, like you were suggesting, all these games that we make, they're fantastical places. So if this place is a simulation, then maybe the world that is outside of the simulation is not a better place than the simulation that we're in right now. Kind of like the idea of the Matrix, when he wakes up and he sees this destroyed city, no sun, and all that kind of stuff. So what are your thoughts on that? If this is a simulation, what is the real realm like?
Well, again, you could go one of three ways in that. One is that it's a better world, and okay. So what's outside this place? One of three choices. One, it's a utopia, and this place is just to give you some perspective, kind of like slumming it until you go back. You can't appreciate what you had without understanding what you've lost. I'm a big fan of the term dualism, which is you can't appreciate something.
Ooh.
Gross.
Really gross. So dualism is a dogma preached by the Freemasons, and it's Kabbalism. The whole dualism thing comes from Kabbalism. And Flatman X, he's always pushing the spiritual aspect of things, and that's great. That's fantastic. But what the Freemasons do is they flip it to this dualistic nature, and they always rely on the opposites as their proof of it. And we keep on pointing out to everybody that there is no such thing as an opposite. It's just it's a bad idea. It's a non-reality.
It's an error.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of an apple?
Banana?
What's the opposite of the sun?
Toad?
Moon.
A toad?
What's the opposite of day?
Car?
It's not night. All right, night is night. All right, the opposite of day would be anti-day, which is
so
non-existent.
day is a measure of light. All right, so you can have pure white, where it's just absolute 100% white. That's all light. And then you can have pure black, which is the absolute absence of light. Mm-hmm. And then you can have the full gradient, the spectrum in between. But all it is a measure of light. There is no such thing as darkness. You can't have a darkness flashlight where you shine darkness into a closet.
Yeah, when they try to make it black and white, they want you to be one or the other so that you're divided and then you're conquered. That's the tactic. That's the Freemasonry and the Satanism and the Cananism and the Kabbalism, all in a nutshell. When the truth is everything is a gradient. Now, Mark takes it to, he believes the outer world is a utopia. Right?
Well, he did mention that there's three possibilities, so I think he's going through the possibilities now.
I'll wait.
Without knowing its opposite, hot without cold, light without shadow, pain without pleasure, which is why people like trust.
Those are all made up.
Just disasters because they don't know any of the hero's journey. It's just all instant gratification.
Yeah, no struggle.
Right. So I mean that's the one I tend to go with because this place seems to be a lot like school. Meaning, I believe in what's out of this place. We would call it utopia, nirvana, Shambhala, heaven, whatever you want. This place could be one of three things. Either a prison, but if it's a prison, it's an awfully nice prison. Technically speaking, it's really beautiful and well decorated. It could be entertainment, like a giant reality show, which I suppose it could be sort of a hybrid for other beings. But if that's the case, there's not. For the people that are down here, there's not a lot of people that are having fun all the time. Bliss is a very hot commodity that is in very limited quantities here. So I tend to see it as a school, which is kind of both. You sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not. Most of the time, you're trying to learn something, and at the end, you got to leave. It's a limited experience. Could it be?
So, the three possibilities he listed are not all the possibilities, and I do agree that it is in many ways a school. But what the Bible actually tells us about Earth is that it was designed to be a paradise garden. And that because of sin, death entered the world, and that the lesson has been that the right action, that lies, you cannot lie, you cannot cheat, you cannot steal. You have to actually learn how to be a decent functioning person in this world, and that's the school aspect of it, right?
Well, the deeper understanding is that the virtual reality is a filtering process to create a righteous group of beings.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That what's outside of this world is worse, like the Matrix? Sure, I suppose. I mean, I'm not going to discount that. There was another show, a British television show, I believe it was called Red Dwarf, touched on that, which I thought was fascinating, which was a great episode.
But why would we care what any movie, suggests? It's the people that get to making a movie level in Hollywood, they're not doing it to share the truth with anybody. Right?
They get paid, and they do acting, and they say what they're told. That's it. And it's witchcraft.
And then, of course, the third would be just neutral, but I don't see that happening either, which is, you're you're living in a world that's very, very similar to this. But if that's the case, then what are you doing here? If that was the case, then this should be some sort of fantasy realm where you can do a lot of things. And as far as I know, there's no superheroes. There's nobody flying around, which I always thought was interesting, by the way. A lot of things are hoax.
Yeah.
This is a great point that Mark makes.
But if you look at what the Bible says took place throughout history, you've got a lot of miracles, like the Red Sea parting. You've got the fire coming down from heaven. You've got the Great Flood. You've got a whole bunch of things that are supernatural.
Yeah, so they just haven't happened for a long time. That allows people to run their mouths.
Exactly.
Over the years, but no one's ever hoaxed a superhero, nor have we even heard a rumor of a superhero flying around.
Vigilante.
So yeah. Anyway, short answer. I believe that what's outside of this is a utopia, and that we are here to gain perspective. And our memory of this place has been, or our memory of that utopia has been suspended very deliberately, so that we don't bail immediately. You know, it's that there's an old saying. I know some people call it a dead metaphor. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I never liked that saying. It's basically you can't have your cake, eat it too, and still have your cake. You can't remember where you came from, live this life.
Yes, the memory wipe is true, right? And the true analogy goes back to Adam and Eve when they were first put in here. They did, throw themselves off mountains, drown themselves underwater. They continued to try to die to get out of here, to get back to paradise. So what Mark's saying does have some roots in the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that what has happened throughout the course of time is a set of rules have been laid down, and then, systems were put upon systems, and things were put into place. And if you don't follow the correct path, there's consequences, and for every action, every choice. And we actually teach, multiple probation lives, until the millennial reign. We've had recycled lives, and we use a scripture with Elijah as one of the key references towards reincarnation. Mark, that's what's going on. And if you don't have the correct understanding and the truth, you end up going to multiple other places. Once the breath of life leaves you in this realm, you go categorically to the place of the fruits of your life, from the truth that you spoke and the work that you did and the way you treated the people in your life is our outcome. It's the deciding factor as to where we go, right? Karma is a real thing.
Well, and Flatman X does later on in this talk about he believes that in reincarnation as well. I don't know that anybody else chimed in on it. But, yeah, so Mark does bring in some interesting perspectives, and that's the reason why we're going through it. Not everything he's saying is pure disinformation. He could be leading people to the truth a little bit harder than he is right now, but some of the stuff he's saying is actually true, everyone.
Appreciate it. You can't have both. So you forget. There might be some glimmers and flashes, which is why people, talk about reincarnation in previous lives, but you can't remember fully. And if you could, well, that'd be a problem, because if that was the case, people would bail in instantly when something went wrong. It's like, this sucks. Where's the nearest bridge? And they start
I'm shocked
jumping.
He doesn't reference Bandersnatch. I'm shocked that Mark didn't go Bandersnatch, right? I'm shocked. It's a video game about, virtual reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to disagree with you there, actually.
Do you?
Right. And here's why.
Yes.
Such hypothetically, let's say I reach such an enlightened state to where I can remember where I came from. Well, then that means I also remember why I came here. So then the idea kind of negates itself to think that I would jump out at a first sign of hostility when I remembered the things in the first place. So then I would naturally know how to solve those problems. Now, vibrating at such a high state of being, and if you can remember where you came from, I assume you remember why you're here, or at the very least have a much better clue of why you're here. And
for you were probably a more enlightened being, but coming from the video game industry, I can tell you that the cheat codes are far too tempting when you give it to somebody. I know no one who's gotten the cheat codes who never used them.
Well, that's because the ones who actually mastered them wouldn't share them with you.
How do you know they're
Not just you, not disrespectfully, they wouldn't share them with me either.
So Mark just assumes that everybody's a cheater. Everyone's a cheater in Mark's world.
Video games, it's something that has been promoted here in this realm. Everybody got the magazines, that gave you the ways to beat the games. That's the way that they brought the systems out. They put, treasures and different types of things where you can do, and Mario Brothers had you knock the turtle shell on a certain stair and you get infinite lives, and they've had these types of things in the types of games
You know, that was part of the fun, discovering those things. Does that make everybody that's done those things a cheater?
According to Mark.
Simply because we probably couldn't conceive them. What I'm suggesting is, and we could all obtain such a state, and it might be necessary for us to kind of combine all these great ideologies of our realm, and even going forward by looking within. My idea, the kind of opposite of Austin's, is that for us to go forward, we got to go inside. So if we want to entertain the next level of flat Earth, we probably have to entertain
Yahawashai the Christ.
And
that was his message, right? Flatman X is now standing up there giving you, Christ's message.
Except,
sorry. The Father inside your own heart. That's the doctrine of Christians, right? Flatman X.
Yeah, he's playing the part of the spiritualist. He's got the chakra guy in his intros. He's got the like the Hebrew roots tree, the as above, so below. He mentions that he's a Catholic and that he's got a pyramid with an all-seeing eye on his shoulder.
Yeah. Crazy tattoo, right?
Tattoo. So, yeah, that's the way this team rolls.
But it's Christ who taught the inward movement of spirituality, and where the true Creator was, and how to access Him was through, inside your heart. That's the message of Christianity. But Flatman X, he's telling it too.
As a potential reality, and what we're kind of subscribing as crazy or lunacy. But in that thin line could be the next clue to really experiencing what's beyond the poles, rather it be there physically.
The poles.
Beyond the poles. So the outer pond, right?
Well, that's a problem. His model has one pole. There's not two poles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are two poles, but his model's got one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will also add, Chris, well, I'm not sure who I should address this to, but essentially, I mean, have you ever been in a situation where you really wanted to do something, and then you start to do it, and you get like halfway into it, and you're like, man, this is awful. This is nowhere near what I expected it to be. I really wish that I wouldn't have done this. Is there like an exit strategy? Like, how the heck
right.
am I going to do, right? Imagine being, a spiritual entity, and you're talking about, hey, man, this world down here is really messed up. We need some people. We need some souls to go down there and fix it. And it's like, man, I mean, I'll go, but, I mean, it looks like it's pretty tough. I was like, don't worry. To ensure that you stay there, we'll just wipe your memory.
Yeah.
Like one of the only ways to ensure that people actually stay there, because the cheat codes are.
Why not? It's like a grace. How about it's a grace to allow you to try again, to do better, and to wipe your mind so that you don't remember the past mistakes that you've gone through. To me, why is it that this supposed spiritual side always takes an anti-spiritual approach? Everything's flipped with these guys. Mm-hmm. You couldn't come up with a darker statement out of this guy's heart.
Yeah, where's the good vibes?
And I'll keep this really short, which is if heaven or nirvana, or let's just call it utopia. If utopia was a door right over there and you had access to it and it was unlocked, it is far too tempting. Way, way too tempting. Everybody gets in a bad mood. Everybody has down moments. I know this panel is more enlightened than most, but the masses couldn't do it. Could not do it. I mean, they can't even stop from opening a bag of chips for 2 seconds that's sitting in the cupboard. So
let's say that you were the hypothetical creator.
Throwing humans under the bus.
Pure Satanism right there. Everybody's stupid. Can't even open a box of cookies. Or a bag of cookies.
Realm and all of its mortal beings walking around.
Sure.
I would imagine you would design safety protocols to not allow those lower consciousness-minded people who can't handle day-to-day confrontation and get very frustrated and start raging with emotion. Right there, you would set in some type of blocking mechanism.
No sharp knives for those people, right?
Yeah.
They get plastic knives and forks
and Velcro shoes.
They would never even be access to the door because they're not vibrating high enough to even witness the door that they have to walk through. So I'm suggesting that we're all on this journey together and are all with all of little key pieces of puzzles. And if enough of us come together with their pieces of puzzle, we might be able to find said hypothetical door.
Hey,
the door is astral projection. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I'm not doing that.
Of course.
No, I like your thought though, which is that the door is only available to
the son of the living creator is the door. Right.
Trouble in Tribune says no astral projection.
Astral projection is the door.
I'm on board with that. Sure.
Yeah, that's mostly what I've been kind of.
All those astral projectors are still here.
Here is this what I've been doing. Is that what he's going to say? You guys want to know a crazy story? I actually talked with one of the first chemtrails or demonic guys
right, who was an astral projector, and you guys have no idea the amount of Satanism and demonic activity that's involved in astral projection, and what wicked things take place and transpire through this type of content.
Mm-hmm.
People think it's a joke. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. I have firsthand witnessed some of the craziest things that I don't think anybody should dabble in.
Robert,
far away. If you want to astral project, just in your mind, send your thoughts to a beautiful place and enjoy it. I like to use places that I've experienced in this life that I can smell and feel and taste, like my Nan's Lake. That's where I go to mentally. Now, I don't know if these guys are doing things demonically through this astral projecting, but it can be used in a very wicked way. I have to, balk out at this, and I strongly recommend not doing it.
Yeah, Robert Monroe was really sort of like the modern day pioneer of it, and if you know his story, he went some dark places. It's not good.
Yeah, you want to go within. Follow what Flatman X says. Go within your own heart. Don't try to project yourself out.
I've actually talked about it with Austin over the last year or so. As a matter of fact, since I talked with you last Oktoberfest, and we had about a 30-minute conversation or so about this exact thing. I was like, we're going to talk about this online one day. And here we go. Manifestation. In this fractalized environment, that I really believe that this is an infinite fractal universe. So
what does that even mean? Infinite fractal universe. Those are...
Yeah, I can talk on this.
Okay.
So a better demonstration would have been a hologram. Right? Because a hologram contains infinite amounts of smaller pictures of itself that reproject into the three-dimensional, structure of it. The holographic technology, right? It's a you know how it works. It's a fractal. The smaller image still contains the entire hologram as the entirety of the surface being light casted through it. So he believes that the creator, he's just promoting what Eric Dubé says, that we're all the creator experiencing itself from the forgetful mind state.
But we're also definitely not holograms, because holograms don't have materiality to them. They don't have a physicalness to them where they can touch and feel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's very true.
Possible here. And those that we deem crazy, even now as flat earthers, that we don't necessarily understand others that even have even more extreme ideologies, that they are experiencing a certain reality in their given frequency that we're not privy to. And then we, since we don't vibe with them, well, they're stupid. Oh, they're idiots. How can they not see things my way? And
So,
it's kind of a whole other level of egotism.
Flatman X continues to constantly state that everybody has their own truth. That is absolutely asinine. It's got to be one of the most retarded things I've ever heard. I've got to say something now while everybody's here and witnessing this as I speak these words. If the temperature is 75 degrees outside and I say I feel cold, and Jason says I'm kind of hot at 75, the truth is the temperature is 75 degrees. It goes with the sky. That goes with the curvature that you can't find. Nobody thinks they can see curvature and then they measure curvature. Okay, you can't, not everybody has their own truth. There is a constant truth of the life of the playhead of reality moving forward. The ever-present moment of now is the most truthful thing that we can be aware of. And then after that, we build upon history, on things that we've collectively understood. It doesn't just pop out of nowhere like fake Kabbalistic quantum theories. We base things on measurable, observable realities. Okay, and nobody has their own version of reality. Flatman X, we're all in a submersible game, for the lack of a better term, that Mark should understand very well. And it's interactive from our own perspective, from our own avatar, our own eyes. Some of us can hear a bit better, but we're still all hearing the same sound. Now, depending on where you are, you'll have a different angle to the sun. People on the supposedly south half of the map, right, the bottom two sections of the map, they get the stars rotating clockwise. The people on the top two sections of the map, you can have it in four squares in a rectangular shape. They've got the stars going counterclockwise. Nobody sees anything else other than that. On the equator, it rises due east and sets due west. The ecliptic path goes right over them, wobbling a little bit to and fro as it goes. None of the things that these people on this podcast are stating have any actual observable realities to them.
Yes.
We want to make sure that I'll stop ranting now. But the truth is what is the truth, and it is a roaring lion, and it'll devour anything that stands in its way. And that's why the most truthful speakers that have ever lived have been murdered, sacrificed, killed, and censored.
I'm going to make an absolute statement here. There is an absolute truth for everything that somebody can argue that there's multiple perspectives on. All right, so there's always an absolute truth for everything that people say there can be a perspective on, because in order for there to be these different perspectives, it has to exist, and as soon as it exists, then an absolute statement can be made about it. Now, how each person interprets it and what they say it is and whether or not it's important and if they like it and all these types of things are absolutely individual, but there's always an absolute truth to something that it exists.
That's right. Everything is measured off the absolute.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the earth not moving is how we measure other things that move. These are the absolute truths that we have in our reality.
So we might be getting close to as far as we're going to be going with this. Let's take this through to their break.
Well, yeah. I guess, yeah, it's getting late, right?
Yeah. We could just keep going. It's fun, but we'll have to end it at some time. So let's go ahead and use their next break as our time to wrap it up.
I think that if we kind of push through and not get stuck in a whole new flat earth box where we're like, nope, everything, if it don't fit in this flat earth box, then we can't go over there because, that's Satan or that's wrong or they're trying to trick us. We kind of got to steal back our own creative function, because NASA has done a great job along with Disney capturing the imagination. That was their motto for the longest, and I think we need to take it back.
I like it.
Imagination.
Awesome. Mark Sargent likes it, everybody. So show's over. Goodbye.
Good night, everybody. Great show. I thought it was going to be longer.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Austin? How you feeling, brother? What are you thinking about all this?
No, I'm seeing what Pamela put right here in the chat. Pamela says many folks feel they were tricked. Oh, and it just went away.
What, tricked into coming here?
Yeah, tricked into coming here, but she doesn't believe that. She says she believes in the highest version of ourselves, that we consented to entering this simulation.
Okay, all right. You know what? All
right, so this is interesting. Now we have people in their chat acknowledging that they believe that we're in a virtual reality, yet we've been just hated on by this group for the last 7 years for saying that we're in a virtual reality. What's going on?
Can I address that directly? So I came up with something a while ago, a few years ago, and I call it the genie theory, which is, let's say you are in a utopia. This goes to the people that say, oh, no, I didn't mean to come here. It's like, no, you did. You absolutely volunteered. And let me explain how that would work. So you're in utopia, and you're doing everything you ever wanted to do, right? You've got a genie sitting right over there. You can ask him unlimited wishes, right? And of course, you're going to go for the petty stuff. The world, you date everyone that you ever wanted to date. You became a rock star. You became a baseball player. You became, the greatest surfer in the world, whatever you wanted to do. And this goes on for a while, right? This takes some time. And of course, you wish for immortality and perfect health and all this other stuff. You don't have to worry about doctors and crap like that. And this goes on for decades and then hundreds of years. And if you're lucky and you have a really deep imagination, this can go on for probably thousands of years, which, by the way, one of my favorite quotes of all time, that just doesn't matter if you like his science or not, was an Albert Einstein quote where he said, imagination is more important than knowledge. I did not get that for a number of years. I get it now. So
no. Imagination is not more important than knowledge.
That was Arthur C. Clarke, and I don't even want.
Yeah, and you get the big head nod from Flatman X and Mark Sargent pushing, quotes, and so they love the idea of just extra ponds and infinite fractal vortexes of. They just make up these fanciful terms. And they think that's most important. Well, I actually think actual, factual, observable evidence, that kind of stuff, the absolute, the things that are real, that's the most important, not just making up stuff.
When your imagination runs out in this world, in this utopia, and you don't know what to do, eventually you go out to the genie and you say to the genie, hey, so I'm almost tapped out here. What the hell am I going to do? And the genie's like, well, I got something for you. You might, let's face it, you're going to hate it. It sucks. Limited lifespan. It's this little world. Limited lifespan. one way in, all sorts of different ways out, and in fact, it's 90% conflict, 99% conflict. It's going to be mostly miserable and suffering. It's like, wow, that sounds terrible. Why would I want to go there? It's like, well, because when you go there and you spend your whatever it is, be 50 years, 70 years, whatever, when you get out, you are going to appreciate this place, this utopia, like it was brand freaking new, right? And it's like, wow, that sounds really, really great. It sounds just what I need. What's the catch? And he looks at you and he goes, well, the catch is, I got shit off your memory. Now you remember we had this conversation. Snap, and that's it. You go in. But, of course, he asked for your...
That's not the catch. The catch is you can either get everlasting life or everlasting destruction. So there's real implications towards being in this virtual reality.
Yeah, do you remember that show that was
a scripture book in every single hotel in the North America to verify what I'm stating is true, that there's rules.
Do you remember what that show was? It was virtual reality based, but they had the stacks, and you could be virtually...
Altered carbon.
Yeah, you could be virtually tortured.
Yeah, forever.
Forever.
Right? Interesting concept that I know that Mark probably doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah, there's a TV show reference for you.
Well, what you get is in the spirituality group, they don't want to know about something called hell. They don't believe in hell. And now what you have in the simulation virtual reality worlds, they don't believe in everlasting loop torture. It's the same thing.
Your consent beforehand, and it's not like that. He doesn't trick you. He says, okay, are you sure you want to do this? You're absolutely sure? Okay, you got to sign this right here. Okay, now you're done. And then you go in, and yeah, there's no way out because you don't know there is a way out. That again, it's there's a saying which is, or it's a question, a philosophical question, which is, what is a human being's most default state? Is it laziness or fear? Tough one, because it could really go.
Why are those the options?
This isn't Good Vibes Tribe here. This is
authentic, vulnerable. Why can't there be better choices here than fear or?
Yeah, loving, caring,
benevolent,
dedicated. But fear is what keeps you here a lot of the time. People, they suffer through it because the line is, and I'll stop rambling on this. The line is, well, what else am I going to do? What choice do I have? Which, and you can take that on a micro level. There's lots of people that do things because they think, what choice do I have? Hence, what's happening for the last 3 years, give or take. Wink, wink. Anyway, there you go. That's my little.
I got something. Sorry. Stephanie Campbell mentioned the Black Mirror episode. Do you watch any Black Mirror?
I love Black Mirror.
So
and by the way, I just finished the season 6, which just dropped, all of 5 episodes.
Wow, fanboy or something. I don't.
I guess. I don't know.
Scrap show.
This might be far enough for me, brother.
Yeah, you don't want to hear more about the Black Mirror. Yeah, I'm good to go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Sorry, we might have different opinions than everybody else. So, like I said, if they want to believe in what they want, we're not telling them that they're not allowed to imagine outer worlds and other ponds and all this and that, and whatever it is they want to believe in, they can think it out. But the truth will always be observable, repeatable, and we want to always consistently stay on a founded, solid foundation that our realm is not moving, and we can see the stars rotate around us, and we're going to actually just constantly put out the truth. That's my only goal here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mark does go on at some point to talk about latency, where being able to tell that a person's going to make a certain choice something like 7 to 10 seconds in advance. So there's interesting things to consider, continue talking about on this topic. Of course, we're never going to stop talking about being in a virtual reality. We've been doing it for the last 7 years, and here these guys are actually coming around and talking about it here. So we think that's great, and yeah, it's been great night, brother. I appreciate it.
Me too. I enjoyed it.
Sunday we should be live, and we should be doing some Team Yahawashai End Times Eschatology with 3D motion graphics, and I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, same thing with that. We're just going to show what we read, what it is, how it's written. We're not going to try to imagine anything else.
Exactly. Well, it's been great, brother. Where's people going to find this type of content?
Only Beyond Flat Earth.